In the tradition that we have started in the past two episodes, I would like to continue our little tour of Wondermere in the region called the Fracture. So, in the Fracture, it's kind of the least populated area, kind of least densely populated area. There's just this one little town. There's no other houses anywhere. Lots of trees. I did a lot of experimenting with kind of like the first forest style area that I built. And these houses are, I'll admit, pretty plain. They're all the exact same style, just the two different colors. And there's currently a festival of light happening with all these lanterns, which is actually a parkour course. The idea is you parkour from each of these lanterns all the way up to that balloon and around and up there. And then as part of the quest, there's a shulker box up there containing an item that you would need to complete the quest. But there's also cute little things around here. There's a miniature me building a little sandcastle, which I love. And all the insides of the houses are all decorated. Let's take a look. Of course, we have the staple. How could you not have this? At this point, guys, if you're following along and you're building with me, and you do not have the maximum amount of beehives in your houses, I don't know what you're doing. You need to lock in, and you need to start putting as many as you can. Anyway, the reason this area is called the Fracture is because this area of my island has lots of these little like river bits happening, and the mountain kind of is fractured. And there's this really massive underground cave system that goes around, and oh, there's a turtle in there. Yeah, the little town in the Fracture is called Splitton. I know, very creative. Split. But yeah, this was also the first time I was experimenting with these banners with the lines on it to kind of give it the illusion of that mild Tudor effect. I think if I were to come back into this area, I could do it better. It's a little bit on the bland side, but it is what it is. I still like this area. There's one building that's a little bit different, and it's this one. It's the town hall. It's a nice little reception in here, and then upstairs is like where the mayor of the town might live. But yeah, but the focus of today's episode is not going to be in this village, but it's actually going to be over there. Hello everybody, my name is B-Man, and welcome to another episode here in Wondermere on the Shroomhearth SMP server. This is episode number 3. I'm having an absolute blast making these videos, and I really hope you're enjoying watching along. So at the beginning of the episode, we toured behind me there, the town of Splitton in the Fracture, and I have an amazing idea for this episode. So I consider the area of Wondermere pretty much complete with all the builds and areas that I had planned for it. But I have these little islands that are just off the coast here. I have this one, and then a tiny little one after that. And really early on in our playthrough on this server, and we're over 3 years now, I was obviously using this to collect sand, and in doing that made these islands very ugly, and compared to the mainland of Wondermere, they're definitely an eyesore. And now that we kind of have this boat here and some farms, I thought it might be a good idea to turn this into either a part of the Highlands or even a region of its own. And so I want to start on this island over here, and I want to landscape it a little bit, make it look a little bit less uggo. I'm going to add a little dock here so that you can boat back and forth. I don't want to put a bridge, because I think a bridge would, well, we'll see. I'm imagining a bridge might make it look a little awkward, but depending on the style we go for on the island and how dense I want the building to be, I haven't decided if I want just 3 or 4 houses or if I want a whole, like almost castle type thing happening. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to terraform this island. I'm going to take back a lot of this gravel, if not get rid of most of it, and then I'm going to cover it with some grass, and I'm going to do a time-lapse of it so you can watch me do it right as the sun sets. Oh, isn't that so beautiful? Okay, I'm kidding. All right, enjoy the time lapse. Okay, we are here building this little island. I just wanted to say, from VoiceOver Review Man, I really appreciate the support from the first video. I got a couple really amazing comments that encouraged me to keep going, and also one that compared me to Etho and B-dubs, which I was not expecting, and that meant like a lot to me. So I really want to make sure going forward with all these videos that you guys can continue to think that and can you continue to really enjoy these videos. Anyway, that's the island. I hope you really liked it. Goodbye. Okay, I think that this actually turned out not too bad. I haven't done like this light terraforming in a long time. And I say light because I'm not like completely reconstructing the land, right? I was just adding a couple blocks here and there. I think that making a little transition between the beach and the land is really important, and just a little bit of that mud and coarse dirt goes a long way. Um, and then around these little tidal pools, a little bit of the birch in here. It makes it look like it's like the more wet sand, but not wet because it's right beside the water, but because it's kind of like been wet for so long that it's just kind of staying that different texture. If you know what I mean. I live right next to a beach, so I walk along it every once in a while, and I see this kind of sand. So if it makes sense to you, good. If it doesn't, we're moving on. um, I decided to leave the back half of the island stony and gravel because even though I think I've decided I'm just going to do a little fishing village, if a castle or keep happens, it happens. I'm not going to stop myself, you know. If I feel the urge to castle, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't have an idea for what I would want it to look like, but maybe if these little houses kind of turn out nicely, then we'll carry the vibe upwards. I also decided to do a little bit of vegetation on the island. I'll add a tree or here or there once the buildings are in, because I find that it's I like to add the trees after I do the building, because that way you can use the tree to like shape around the building and really like frame it. I added these little bits of flowers and grass and this. I love using this warped. What's it called? Warped roots. Yeah, I love the warped roots just a little bit. Like once again, a little bit goes a long way. Just like here and there, especially if you're in a biome that's a little bit on the duller side, like what this I guess is a Stony Shores biome. This little bit of like cyan blue really pops out. Like if you look over at the landscape over there, like you can spot it, right? It's right there. There's one there. And I have them periodically. But anyway, I digress. I'm very happy with how this little terraforming came out. And then in the water, of course, we have a little bit of the seagrass. You may have noticed I bone meal the seagrass and then I get rid of like over half of it, because if you just bone meal it and this goes for when you're making grass as well. If you bone meal it and then you just leave it as it is, I think that it doesn't allow it to be as good as it can be. If you remove a handful of the grass and maybe get rid of the the red and the yellow flowers, and then put back in flowers tactically after, it goes a really long way. So I have an idea for the style of house I want to build here, but it's going to require a block I have absolutely none of. So we're going to have to go on an adventure to our sand mining desert, not because I need sand, but because I need something that is right beside it. Okay, we are here at the sand mines put together by the one and only lovely Needle Archer. It is Needle's Sand Outpost. I just wanted to point out before we go get what I needed, this palm tree. Isn't it so amazing with the pots and the bamboo as like the little like tough bits that are at the top of palm trees? I really like this tree. I think it's really cute. Good job, Needle. I absolutely approve. But what I came for is over here. Coral. So I have seen before people use like the dead, I think it's the brain coral, as like a stone texture. I've never done this before, but I wanted to give it a try. I was kind of experimenting. Um, with building with it. So I came out here. We're gonna collect a bunch of this. Uh, do not do this in real life. If you are going out into your lovely coral reef at home in the wilderness, out in nature, do not destroy it. This is an unsanctioned activity that you're only allowed to do in your Minecraft world. If you are doing this in the real world, you are probably a very bad person. You're a mean person. You have no heart nor soul. Um, I mean, I was gonna say I'm not kidding, but I am kidding. No, I was gonna say I was kidding, but I'm not kidding. We need to protect these. But unfortunately, in Minecraft, the texture is just very beautiful and really good for like stone. I guess it's almost like a cobblestone variant is what I'm gonna be using it for, and what I've seen others use it for. For the style of building, I also want to do a little bit of like an orangey roof. So we're going to use a little bit of red sand and acacia, and we're going to kind of mix it together. When you're doing a gradient, and I've only just kind of recently been like experimenting with this, not even a gradient, but just like when you're using two different or three different blocks in a palette for the roof, for instance, instead of just having it like randomized where it just looks like really like polka dotted, try to do it in like patches where the patches have some form of structure to it. You know, like when you're building, try to think, why would this be like this? Why would it be patched in color like this? Like, I know from most buildings in real life, that patchiness normally comes from wear and tear, you know, water damage, or if it's a copper building, you know, the copper is oxidizing, which also happens here in Minecraft, obviously. Um, so those are the kind of things that I'm trying to think about when I'm gonna be building this house, and I'm gonna try to make it like a beach style fishing hut that you might find on a little island just off the coast. I was thinking maybe on some stilts, or perhaps some way that it's being connected to the beach where it would make sense that it was on the beach. And the other thing I'm going to try to include into it is a little bit of the mangrove wood, because I think that really dark, like beautiful red color mixed with the gray and the really like unsaturated oranges of the blocks I'm going to be using for the roof, I think it is going to pop really well. So let me finish collecting the rest of my coral, and I'll meet you back on the island for yet another time lapse of what I think this house is going to look like. Oh my, yes, this is very different from the things that I normally build. The palette is a lot different, but I thought it would be fun. I saw a build on Instagram that had a similar block palette, and I really, really wanted to try it out. And so I thought I would do it here today. So let's kind of take a look at what's going on. Of course, I've started right as it's about to be nighttime, but that's okay. We'll take a look at it in the dusk light. Yeah, I think that the mangrove goes really cool with the, and I know I said acacia before, but I did mean jungle. I think the acacia orange is way too bright. Also, can we take a moment to just appreciate the new nighttime passing animation of the sky? It's so much smoother. The old one was like it was very choppy. It always felt a little weird. But this one, it's so nice and it's so smooth. And speaking of updates, in the next coming update, should be out in the next couple weeks, we're gonna get these like uh, dry dry grass, I think it's called. And that is something I will absolutely want to add onto the beach, just like one or two around here. I think that'll totally help out. But yeah, so I tried to kind of make it look like it was a little bit on stilts so that, if there's a big storm and the tide is coming really really high, then it'll just kind of like wash underneath here. Little like braces on the side here, and I've really been enjoying doing this thing where the roof doesn't overhang. For the longest time, the roof had to overhang, otherwise it looked bad. But I'm kind of coming around on that. I don't think that that's necessarily the case anymore. So I think the size of the house, maybe one or two more houses on the island will be good. Any more, and it might look a little odd, but I'm not sure. I mean, we'll see how I'm feeling. I put a little bit of this, the new pale oak log. I think it looks really nice as like support because it has that grayness to it, but all of the stone, but it has these little cracks in it that makes it just look like it's been, washed off and everything. And it's really nice. Also, this kind of like I wanted to experiment with this window, make it a little bit different than the other windows. The other windows, of course, are just the tiny little slit windows with the upside down and regular stair, which I really like. And then I have an did not mean to do that. A little chimney up there, which I think kind of worked out with the flower pots on top, which always I think it's like it makes it look like the little the spouts at the end, which is great. And yeah, a little area out front. I think like I didn't know how I wanted to continue the roof in the same vein. So I just kind of did this like super simple like overhang. I think it works. Anything else, and I think it would have looked a little too boxy because I did contemplate doing like another peak here and then pulling it back to match it. But I think that this actually adds the little bit of contrast that the building would need. And then of course, like I said, the mangrove door, I think the just the little pop of me, and I hate, hate your hair and makeup. No, I'm just kidding. The like gathering mangrove. I need to make some form of TNT powered farm before I lose my mind. So I use it extremely sparingly, but I think that the color itself, unless it's the main part of your build, only having a little tiny bit of it is fantastic, and it just adds that little pop. Now, the inside, we don't talk about the inside. Interiors are something that we leave future V-Man to worry about when there's nothing else to do. I say as if we didn't just spend the whole last episode doing interiors of the castle. But yeah, interiors are not my personal favorite part of building. I like doing the exteriors. Of course, a good interior can be nice, but I'll have to think about what we're gonna do in here. If it's gonna be like a little fishing, sailing village, then we'll make the inside as such. But in the meantime, I think we're just gonna leave it empty. So the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about with this build is how we are going to do the docks. So normally when I do a dock in here, let me quickly cheaty free cam over to this one over here because this is the closest one, I think. This is what I do. It's just a super simple like trapdoors going out with a couple like supports, but I don't think that's going to work as well over here because it's like a beach that is the closest out here. So what I was thinking was we could have some kind of like boardwalk that comes out and then lowers down to where the boats would be, kind of like you might see at like a just your standard marina. But where I'm gonna put that, I don't know yet. I don't think I'm gonna put it over here because it might be too far out unless we do some kind of like veranda moment on the side of the house. That might be really cool. I might play around with that and see kind of where that goes. But in my mind right now, I'm thinking kind of probably a little bit over here. But I am going to play around with that veranda now that I've said that. I think that would be a really cool idea. But before we move on with any form of building, I wanted to break it up a little bit, and I wanted to show you guys the like community area of our server. So we have two different community areas. We have the classic spawn town with all of our little starter builds and a little pedestal that you spawn in on to welcome you. And then we also have what we call the living island. So right next to where our spawn is, there is a large mushroom island. And on the mushroom island, we have dedicated it to be the community building area. So when we get over there, I'll kind of show you what that means. But the other really cool part about it is since it's right there, we have this really large bridge that connects the two areas, and we call it the Skidge because the player that built its name is Skit, and it's a bridge, and so it's the Skidge, and I absolutely love saying that. So I will meet you over there in a second. Welcome to Shroomhearth. We have a little sign here. So this is the spawn pedestal. When you spawn into the server for the first time, or if you die and have no bed, this is where you come. We have an amazing lighthouse here. We call it the Origin Lighthouse, just kind of signify this little area. And also we have this. So this is obviously an end gateway portal, but we use it as like a community gateway. So if we have a big community project or maybe an event happening on the server, the mod team will place one of these where that location is, and then you just fire an ender pearl through or fly into it, and bam, you appear right where the community event is happening, and it's definitely an amazing portion of the server that we kind of have available to the players. But just to give you a little bit of orientation where we are, just over in that direction, like maybe 500 blocks is Wondermere. So I'm pretty close to spawn. I managed to finesse my way into owning that island that was super close. And I personally, when I build my bases, I like to be close to spawn because I do not want to be flying through the nether forever just to get to my base. But anyway, this is the skidge I was talking about. As you can see, it leads off to the living island. I have my render distance quite low, but we will go over there in a second. I thought I would show you the rest of our little spawn area. So the skidge wraps around here to this arch. So this is an arch that I designed and I actually built, but the original is on the other side, which basically greets you onto the living island. And then this was a replica that was built on this side a little while later because we felt that it would be nice to kind of cap off both ends with this little arch. So go in here through all of our starter fields, and we have flower fields and everything, all the different farms, everything you would need. Of course, we've been on here for like 3 years, so we don't tend to use this area as much anymore, but it's still nice to come back and look. We have the beginnings of a rail network that is being started around the server to connect up everyone's bases that I'm actually one spearheading. And Skit, the guy who made the other bridge, has decided to make a second bridge, a Skidge 2, if you will, that will carry the rail line across over to the living island. But yeah, this is our little community area. We have all of the little shops and everyone gets together here. It's really great. But let me fly you over the Skidge and take you to the living island. Now, the living island has a couple different main districts on it depending on what you want to be building. So what I will show you first is our main street area. So the main street is this area. Oh, see, look, here's the other arch. The main street area is where people build like the buildings that represent their bases. You can see a lot of these buildings are still under construction. Ow. So these are like embassies almost. So this is mine. This is the one I built for Wondermere. There's me in there, and there's like a little thing. I mean, it's not too much to it, but it's nice to have these buildings. That one is Needles. I've mentioned her. And then we have a post office here that I built. There's supposed to be a replica building on the other side that's going to be like a history museum. There's currently only one display in the history museum, the boat that broke the server. If you don't know, there's currently a bug that if you run a chess boat into a lily pad, it crashes the game, which our lovely muse found out. And so beautifully demonstrated by crashing the server. So that kind of became a little bit of a joke. Don't do it. Don't crash your server on purpose, guys. But yeah, this is the post office, and then here, ignore the gnome, is the World Hall. So the World Hall is kind of like our administrative building. I designed this with another player by the name of Muffin, and it's just meant to house kind of all of the things. Oh, there we go. That's one of the things I was just about to talk about. I mentioned in my last episode about the enhanced dragon fight, which we will absolutely do in an upcoming episode because it's so much fun and I want to show you guys, which gives us these runes. But we also have a bunch of other things, such as that title that came up on the screen that said World Hall. If you place a sign on a beacon and then activate the beacon, whatever you write on that sign will be shown when the person gets into range of that beacon. But we have this room over here, our command block room. Ooh. So in the tab screen, you'll see everyone has these numbers. We call that harmony. And the way you increase your harmony is by being around another player. So if you are around another player, that harmony will slowly tick up. Once you hit 100, you can come here, and with 100 harmony and 1 diamond, you press this button and it'll give you something called a charm. So here, I have a couple here. You can then spend this charm on things that benefit the server. So you can basically apply an effect to the entire server for 1 hour, or you can, easy difficulty, disable raids. We use these pretty sparingly, mostly just for when we're having fun, or if we're doing like a dragon fight or we're off doing an adventure. We sometimes do the keep inventory favor. Everyone on the server is really good about not abusing these things, which allows us to have things like this. And the best one, obviously, is horsepower. When you activate horsepower, it lets horses fly, and it's hilarious. So I'm going to show you. You can also do this. I keep these disabled for the video, but if you enable the favor bars at the top, you can see it's like a boss bar. It says what the power is, and it says who activated it. So I'm just going to keep those disabled for you guys. Okay, let's go find a horse quickly. I'm sure there is one around here somewhere because we have a stables over here. Oh, how about a little horse? One of the favors makes things small. Or not the favors, one of the runes makes things small. So I'm just going to... Oh, here we go. Here we go. Wee. So yeah, this obviously causes a lot of hilarity. And the way you go up and down is you just look while pressing forward, and you'll kind of drift up and down. It is really funny. It just adds the slow fall effect to the horse. But way to go! There it is. All right. Bam. Then the other area on the server, or on the living island, is the gaming district. So this is a casino I built with another one of the members on the server named Ariels. It's based on the Monte Carlo casino in oh my goodness, my brain just had a full-on cave-in. Monaco, thank you, brain. So we have little games in here, and it's kind of cool. We have so many awesome games that some underground as well that everyone on the server puts together. I don't have time to show you all of them, but I'll just kind of give you a look around. My most recent game that I made was a recreation of Clue, the board game. It was my favorite board game growing up, and so I built like a one-to-one replica of the board, and then basically put some redstone together to make it work. So it automatically shuffles the deck and then distributes the deck around to everyone. You throw a snowball on the ground to activate the dice. Here, so let me show you. If you do this. All right, I rolled a 3, so I would be able to basically move 3 blocks in whichever direction I want. Oh, eating also activates that. Hopefully I didn't just break it. Okay, flee while you can. um, and then the last area of the living island I was going to show you guys is our industrial area. So we have an area on the server where you can build like big farms, and actually, now that I'm flying over here, there's two other areas I was going to show you. This is the Emerald Park made by Ipalixa. It's a like a central park type build where everyone can come in and build little bits and pieces to contribute. This is my tree. I built this tree here. One of the guys in the server, Vegworm, is really good with the armor stands, kind of just like a like zombie Cleo type style stuff. And it's just whenever he puts these together, it's so cool. Like I'm so jealous. I need to get better at this, but God knows that my base does not need any more entities before it explodes. And then there's this area. This is an area I put together. I call it Little Wondermere, and it's just buildings that I've seen like on Instagram that I wanted to try to turn into my own and practice my building. So that's kind of what this area is. And then there's a little rail station, which is a B-Man original there. But inside this building is another Vegworm. Well, excuse me. Is the line that long that you have to sit down while you're waiting for your crumpet? Okay. Look at this. Isn't this so cool? Like he's just like a wizard with this stuff. Like look at this espresso machine. Isn't that so cool? Like, oh my goodness, the patience. Like the tiered cake, little stands. Like this is awesome. There's actually an area in the city of Wondermere that he did a little bit of this work on, which is amazing. A gnome eating a cookie, and yeah, it's just they're so cool. Anyway, now that I've been distracted many times, oh, see, you gotta keep inventory on there. It's the industrial area. So here, oh, it's not pretty by any means, but one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted the kind of item collection to be interesting and not just a water stream below ground. So we have all these like pipes running from all the farms into this central storage building, which I just did the exterior of recently. And I really like this. It was kind of I just kind of threw it together, not really thinking about. Obviously, I was styling it off of like European style, like opera houses and things like that. But I think it turned out pretty good. I'm trying to get better at this style building, and then to make it feel like it should exist in the industrial area, I added these like little like technology type bits. I don't know how to explain it, but I think it breaks it up in a way that's quite nice. And then on the inside is the double tiered storage room where everything gets stored. Oh, Soul just got slain by a warden. That's not good. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to show you guys around the living island and the spawn area because I've spent the first two episodes just in Wondermere, only kind of looking at my stuff, and so I thought I would show you around the community area. But let's go back to the island where we are building that little house, and I want to add just a couple more details to finish the episode. Episode? Did I have a strokelet? I'll watch that clip back. At the end, I said episode. Obviously, I meant episode. But okay, so I've done just a little bit. So I hummed and hard a lot, and I decided that I would put the little pier over here because that way it was like kind of anchored onto the house. And honestly, I think it was the right decision. So what I've done is just like very simple little bits and pieces here, a couple chests here and there. Extends out over the sand to here with a little stair down to where you can get into your boat. And I think it came out pretty well. I'm very happy with it. Oh, can't let that go to waste. But yeah, so I really hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We put together this house here, and I definitely want to do more on this island now that I kind of see this here. I'm very excited to do more. I've even Placed a stump here, guys. Don't freak out. I know this is probably the greatest thing you've ever seen. But no, I want to put like a spruce tree here, similar to the ones that are over there. With this color grass, it's just I think the spruce tree, it's right there. Bam. I think it would just look nice. It'll frame the house nice, but that'll have to be next time because that's all the time I have for here today. It's already kind of running a little bit long with the touring around the community area. My name has been B-Man. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and you've enjoyed the past two episodes. Once again, like I plan on making way more of these. If I can think of something to build, I'm gonna record it and show it with you guys. So leave a comment and like on the video if you liked it. I would really appreciate that. Tell me what you think should happen on this island. Do we do the castle? Do we do a little castle? I'm leaning to yes, but of course that's me. I love a castle. So I'll see what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.